Hi there. Today we're going to discuss properties of operations. Today we're going to learn how to identify properties of operations. We're going to determine if conjectures are true or false and provide counterexamples for false conjectures. Lastly, we're going to use properties to simplify algebraic expressions. Example 1. Name the property shown by the statement. So here we have 2 times the quantity 5 plus n, and then we have on the right side the quantity 2 times 5 times n. So what happened here is that we are changing the way that these numbers were grouped. Here 5 times n was grouped, and here 2 times 5 is grouped. So the answer to this is the associative property of multiplication. Here's another example. Name the property shown by this statement. So here we have quantity 3 times m times 2, and then we have on the right side 2 times the quantity 3 times m. So the only difference between our left side and our right side is that the order of the numbers that were multiplied were changed. So the answer is the commutative property of multiplication. Example 2. State whether the following conjecture is true or false. If false, provide a counterexample. So in this example, we're talking about, is division of whole numbers commutative? And remember, commutative basically means that you can just reorder the numbers and you would get the same answer. So the example that I'm going to give you is 15 divided by 3. Okay, and if I change the order of this, will it come out to the same answer? So I'm going to do 3 divided by 15. Well, on the right side, I get 5. I'm sorry, on the left side, I get 5. And on the right side, I get 1/5. So 5 does not equal 1/5. Therefore, this conjecture is false. And then when I want to provide my counterexample, all I have to do is show this example. I'm just going to do one more with you. It says, state whether the following conjecture is true or false. If false, provide a counterexample. Subtraction of whole numbers is associative. Okay, now when we're talking about associative property, it basically means the way that you group the numbers doesn't change the answer. So I'm going to start off with the example 12 minus 5 minus 3. Okay, so the question is, does this equal 12 minus 5 minus 3? So here I grouped my 12 minus 5, and on the right side I grouped my 5 minus 3. So let's use the order of operations to solve. 12 minus 5 is 7. So on the left side, 7 minus 3 is going to equal 4. So let's check out the right side. We're going to do our 5 minus 3 first. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So 12 minus 2 is 10. So 4 does not equal 10. Therefore, this conjecture of subtraction of whole numbers is associative is considered false. And then if false, you're going to provide a counterexample, and that's this example right here. How to use properties to solve problems using mental math. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the properties to reorder, which is a commutative property, and group, which is the associative property, the numbers so that you can use mental math to compute. Okay? So our goal is to basically group numbers that are easy for mental math. And I'm just going to do some examples with you. Alana wants to buy a sweater that costs $38, sunglasses that cost $14, and a pair of jeans that cost $22, and then a t-shirt that costs $16. Use mental math to find the total cost before tax. So here what we're going to do is first we're supposed to add. Okay, so we're going to add 38 plus 14 plus 22 plus 16. Okay, now we can use this as a calculator, but we just really want to do this mentally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that there are some numbers when you group them together is easy to add. For example, 38 and 22 are easy to add, and then 14 and 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the commutative property of addition to reorder these. So I'm going to say 38 plus 22, and then 14 plus 16. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to group the ones that I want to add first. So this is going to be the associative property of addition. So I'm going to group 38 plus 22, and then I'm going to group 14 plus 16. All right? Now, this is fairly simple because 38 plus 22, that equals 60, and then 14 plus 16 is 30. So the answer is going to be $90. So $90 is going to be your cost. So just to go over this again, I reordered the numbers, and then I grouped them into numbers that are easily um, for us to add, and then using mental math, I got 90. Okay, here's another example for you. In a garden, a decorative pool in the shape of a box is 2 feet deep, 17 feet long, and 5 feet wide. Use mental math to find the volume of the water in the pool. Okay, so our volume equals our length times our width times our height. So I am going to multiply the 2 times the 17 times the 5. All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to reorder these numbers because I want to pick numbers that are easy for us to mentally compute. So I'm going to reorder this as 2 times 5 times 17. So if I'm going to reorder it, that's the commutative property of multiplication. Then I want to group the ones that I want to multiply first. So I want to actually multiply 2 times 5 first because that's pretty easy for me. So that's the associative property of multiplication. So 2 times 5 is 10 times 17, and that's very easy for us to do mentally. So it's 170 feet cubed. Okay, again, I reordered my numbers as a commutative property of multiplication. I grouped my numbers that I wanted to multiply. That's the associative property of multiplication. And then I used mental math. So here what we're going to deal with is we're going to deal with variables in this situation. And just remember, boys and girls, you are able to add like things. So you can add the numbers together, but you cannot add a number and a variable together. So we're just going to go through that really quick. All right, so this is our first example, 7 plus g plus 5. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to reorder the numbers first. So only because I want to add like things. So I'm going to have g plus 7 in parentheses plus 5. Okay, this is a form of the commutative property of addition. So now I'm going to put together things that are alike. So like we have a variable g, and then we have numbers 7 plus 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the grouping of these numbers so that I can easily add the numbers or things that are alike. So this is the associative property of addition. So now after I do this, I can do my 7 plus 5. So I get g plus 12. So this is simplified because you can't combine numbers and letters. Okay? So we just simplified this last one. All right. So what we did again, we changed the order. Then we grouped numbers that were alike, and then we just simplified. Here's another example, m times 11 times m. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reorder all of these numbers. And I actually want to put my variables together, and I want to put my numbers together. So I'm going to write 11 times m, and then that's multiplied times m. So reordering again is a commutative property of multiplication. Now I want to put together or multiply my variables. So I'm going to change the grouping of this. So it's going to be 11 times m because I want to do my variables together. That's going to be my associative property of multiplication. So now that I have that, now I can multiply my m times m, and I'm going to get 11 times m squared, or just 11m squared, okay? And that's it for simplifying that. I'm just going to do two more examples for you just so that you can see some more examples. All right, simplify this uh, strategy right here. 6 times d plus 8. Again, we like to keep all our numbers together and all of our variables together. So I'm just going to reorder this. So I'm actually going to do d plus 8 plus 6. Okay, this again is the commutative property of addition. Okay, all I did was switch the places between this and this. Now I want to group things that are alike, and I know that my 8 and my 6 are numbers, so I want to keep them together. So d plus 8 plus 6. That's going to be my associative property of addition. And then now I can just start simplifying, so my numbers I can do. So d plus 8 plus 6 is 14. So my last step was I simplified. Okay, so d plus 14 is my answer. Here's just one last example. A times 9 times b. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, first I want to just kind of reorder this because I want to keep my variables together. So I'm going to have 9 times b and then times a. So reordering, again, is the commutative property of multiplication. Then I'm going to group the numbers that I want to multiply. So 9 times b times a, and that's the associative property of multiplication. What I'm going to do is something a little extra. When we're multiplying variables, we like to keep them in alphabetical order. So I'm actually going to change this to 9 times a times b. And we can do that because of the commutative property of multiplication. So now all I'm left with is just 9 times a times b, and that equals 9ab. And that's when we simplified it. Okay? All right. So today we identified and used mathematical properties to simplify algebraic expressions. Hope that video was helpful. Thank you. Bye.